Naomi Eklund. This is Metaphysical Life Support, home version 2020. Thank you, coronavirus. And I'm really glad that we have the Zoom meeting option to continue our intriguing conversations. Thank you all for bearing with the quality because we're all in bandwidth wars right now. Our guest today continues to be the awesome Sarah Denae, who is a spiritual guide, and we left our previous conversation talking about money, gifts, receiving money for our spiritual gifts, and we want to throw in what's a success look like. So Sarah, I know you have some thoughts on this. Why don't you go ahead and get us started?
Yeah, well, in between, segments, we were talking, well, at the end of the last segment, we started talking about money and the flow of energy and sort of having faith in the money as being a kind of a reflection of the divine.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely a really big mindset shift for me and for, I would say, a lot of people who have gone through it and who are thinking about going through it. I want to just say one thing before we go on, and that is that I know that when I am seeking spiritual guidance, it's so easy for me to kind of, eat up the advice like it's, life's bread, like it's going to save me.
Mm-hmm.
I would encourage anyone and everyone ever listening to me or anyone else to check in with themselves on an ongoing basis, because your truth is not going to sound the same as mine. I'm going to say some things that maybe you want to believe or you want to hear, and there's part of you that's like, oh, that's good. But there might also be a part of you that's like, I don't quite get that, but I'm going to do what she says anyway, or I hate that, I'm not going to do anything she says. I would just encourage you to really seek out your own truth. Only because it's gotten me in trouble a bunch of times to pretend that, yes, try on different ideas and you absolutely should try on different ways of thinking, and be careful not to fall into the trap of believing something that doesn't actually resonate.
So I got to jump in.
Yeah.
So I agree with what you just said, hands down. I can't tell you how many clients have come to me saying, oh, but I tried this and I tried that and this didn't work and that didn't work. And it's almost like you're taking the idea of religion and then you're taking spiritual growth on as a religion.
Yeah.
And this person or that person is trying to tell you what might be really good advice, but it might or might not be your advice. It might not be the right advice for you, or you might be trying to replace chunks of your identity with other people's advice instead of liberating yourself from your old identity. And, the reality is that we all have some things in common, and we all have some things that have to be unique to us. It's kind of like this whole idea that we're in this universal reality as individuals.
Yeah.
And so it's like, how many people on the planet? I think almost every nation on the planet is under some kind of lockdown right now, and yet we're all individuals in our home.
Mm.
And yet we're all in the same situation. It's kind of like when, that metaphor of the drops of water that make the sea. The drop of water is not less because it exists, or not less because of the whole, but it is also in its own existence until there's death and we merge back into the whole and all of that. So I think that's really, really true.
Yeah.
As a coach, I know one of the things that, okay, so I'm going to talk about me personally, then talk about myself professionally. It has been probably the singular largest pain. I was raised Catholic. I have always wanted to serve God. I have always wanted to be a servant of something bigger, something more loving, something greater than me. And it has gotten me into a lot of trouble with people who thought they knew more, or people who were so convinced, they were more convinced of their own rightness than I was of mine. So I let myself trust them. And I think many of us who have been in this field have come across people who we have to break free from, because even if they're fine people, they're not the right person for us. And I think that your gut, that thing that you're talking about, that purpose, that inner knowing, if there's an inner knowing that some teaching isn't right for you, then you need to hold on to that. You need to know that. For me, I know a lot of people love The Secret and they love the whole idea of the law of attraction and manifesting. Well, the way it was being taught really messed with me and made me very, very angry, because people were taking pieces of universal law and distilling them into like tweets, and then selling classes on them. And so I am somebody who, I work really hard to do the best or the right I can do. And I got really angry. And I recently found out that 94% of the people, 94% of the people who worked with or implemented the things that they taught in The Secret actually had no results or less results. An example of that for me was a woman, lovely, really kind-hearted, good woman, was a friend of mine, and she had a picture of a really fancy car on her fridge. Now, this is a woman who'd been in spiritual things since before I was born. And the longer she was practicing the law of attraction and having that car up there, the more she lost, until she actually lost her home, because of the way she was focusing on it and the singular mindedness of it, rather than understanding that the law of attraction is part of a whole body of laws. So I agree with you. We have to be conscientious about what we're taking in and what teachings we're listening to.
Yeah. I mean, and I think really practice is the primary practice is not sort of what do I need to do in order to get what I want. The practice is, how do I need to prepare myself for what's coming? How do I prepare?
Yeah, tell us.
Yeah, I mean, it's a shift. It's similar to that shift away from willfulness and into receiving the energies and the sort of guidance of the divine. So it's kind of a subtle, and it's hard to kind of wrap your mind around if you haven't thought about it before. But I think with the law of attraction, the way it's taught is often like, you can be rich. You just have to imagine you already are. What's missing is the divine is missing. And also the divine is going to give you what it wants to give you. It's not going to give you what you want, what you think you want. It's going to give you what you need. Absolutely. Every time. It's not going to give you the car that you keep, imagining.
Unless it's the right thing for your purpose.
Right.
And that speaks to, for me, the law of attraction works when I'm aligned with what the divine wants for me.
Right. But you can't possibly know that. You can't even know what that is. You never really are going to know until it happens.
Right. It's like, I've been doing, here's a little bit about me. I've been doing mind maps and boards and all these things for the right man for 20 years, and he doesn't show up because obviously my right man isn't around right now. Because if my right man was around, I've done everything in my power to make that happen, and it doesn't.
Yeah.
On the other hand, yesterday I started my second book, and it dropped in my lap. And the minute I said it to my wonderful assistant, Jen, hi Jen, we have to mention you again, like her face lit up. She's like, yeah, that's it. Yeah. And I'm looking at everything that's going on, including the slowdown in work because of the Corona thing. And it's like, yeah, I now have the time to write this book. And it just dropped in my lap, and I started writing it, and it flowed, and it was just flowing. But I want to go back to something that is a bugaboo for me, which is the way most people use the law of attraction, or the way I've seen a lot of people use the law of attraction. It's almost like it's making the divine your servant. It's like, boom, genie, I want this. And if you're coming at it from that Like, I'm supposed to be creating whatever I want, and you're not in some sort of alignment with some divine purpose, and you don't have some grace and some gratitude, then, I mean, even if you get some of the things that you want, I don't think I would want that karma. So I'm sorry, let's go back to you.
Yeah, we're supposed to be, well, and then we began this segment talking about money, and which I guess is related, right?
Right.
And what I would say too is that, you know, ultimately what makes what I feel like success will be for me, or is for me, because really we only have this moment. So in this moment, am I successful? Yes, because I feel content. I feel one with, you know, the divine. I feel connected. I feel a sense of intimacy with you. These are things that humans need more than anything. We need to feel like our birthright, which is, you know, content and at ease and in like connected to one another. And, you know, I think we get so caught up in this grand view of success. We won't be successful until we have a certain number of square feet in our house. We have a certain amount of stuff. Our TV is a certain size. The car, the number of cars, the number of kids, you know, the husband, the wife, whatever. And it could look completely, maybe we're not successful until we're fully enlightened and we are the, you know, like the Dalai Lama, and we're teaching large swaths. Right. And so again, it's this, on the one hand, it's this idea of knowing what we need in the exterior world, in the material world, in order to have success. No, you don't know. Just drop it. You don't know. Only the divine knows. And you do know how you will feel when you have those things you think you want. And that is the truth of what you really want, is the feeling and the state of being connected, the state of being in love with yourself, with the divine, with each other, with life.
So this ties back into conversation we had previously, where there's a bliss state where your soul is with you, and your soul is sort of the foundation of what your thoughts and emotions are working from, versus the external, which is being pushed onto you. So for me, yes, I do like money. Yes, I like having a business. I like having a comfortable home and reasonably nice things. I have no interest in having a Rolls Royce or Mercedes Benz, or those kinds of things. Genuinely, for me, don't matter. I'm completely happy in my cute little orange Jeep, and I could have $1 million in the bank and I'd probably still be twiddling around in my cute little orange Jeep because it makes me happy. So I hear what you're saying is, so prosperity and success in a more genuine way have more to do with an internal realization and an internal preparation to accept those things, rather than the things that are supposed to make us happy.
Yeah. And when they say just act like you already have it, in a sense, that's true. Yes, like what?
Expand on that.
Just like because really, like all the spiritual teachers would tell you that, you know, enlightenment is available to you at any time. It's not something that's going to happen in the future necessarily. You don't even know, right? All you have is now. And so if you can live in the state in which you imagine yourself would be in if you had the mansion and the Mercedes Benz or whatever it is that you want, you know, the hut on top of a mountain where you can practice your, you know, where you can meditate all day. If you imagine what it is exactly that you want from those things, like what are those material things going to actually give you in life, you can create that state in this moment.
Okay, so I don't have the, and I don't necessarily, okay, having a big house with a great view, I could get into that. But it doesn't have to be, okay, it'd be nice if it was nice. Um,
It's okay to want what you want. I'm not saying that it's not okay to want what you want.
but that's a genuine desire because I love
Yeah.
city views, and so a nice high large apartment in a beautiful city with a beautiful city view or an ocean view would make me happy. But I can, like, if I close my eyes, I can imagine and let myself sort of bathe in the feeling of being in a safe, comfortable, high up place with a view. Like, for me, it's like a place near Central Park or a place in New York where you can see the park and see the ocean and see the skyline. And to me, that's like my happy view. So I can close my eyes and I can put myself there and I can feel that.
Mm-hmm.
And when I feel that, it's not like we were talking earlier, it's not like that hard, I'm gonna go be driven to do that. It's more like that sort of sparkly, blissful place where it's just like, okay, God and I agree that that would be a good place for me.
Mm-hmm.
And so then I start having a sense of what steps to take. And, you know, maybe that image is given to me by the divine for inspiration to get me moving on doing other things. And maybe I'll never have the money to live in a $2 million place in New York. But I could certainly go and stay in one. I could certainly have that experience. And what I will probably find is that I also equally want to go and enjoy the Scottish Highlands and go on whiskey tasting. And there's all these different things that give us different feelings. And so sitting in that feeling is a way of preparing ourselves and breaking down those walls, that identity that we're talking about, where we were taught that girls like us don't have money, or girls like us don't have success, or people who are artists, you know, live as baristas and wasted their degree.
Yeah.
So I think we're understanding each other. So for the audience, like, if you were to say, like, there's like 2 or 3 really simple things, like, let's say somebody's never meditated before, or somebody's never even really given much thought to, like, the law of attraction, but they would like to have more money, or they would like to have more soul in their life so they knew how to spend their money. Like, what would be like 2 or 3 things, that short, really practical things newbies would benefit from?
I mean, I would say give away some crap, clear some space, like clear space in your home, clear space in your life, clear space in your mind. Give gifts, you know, whatever that is. Create a scarf for grandma, or make a pie for your neighbor, or, you know, like, do a podcast and start talking about the things that you've been thinking about your whole life that you've never shared with the world. You know, I would say give your gifts and give away stuff that's not serving you. So the idea is to create a flow, is to open the channels.
Good. I like that. So that goes back to having faith in your gifts.
Right.
And I said we were going to talk about money and receiving money for our gifts in this episode, but we're going to do that in the next one. So I promise I'll stay on task, and we'll talk about receiving money for our gifts, but also about, for those people who already have enough, or who even just want to open the flow of their spiritual gifts, the power of generosity. Thank you so much for watching today. This is Sarah Denae. I think our next one is number 5. And like, comment, share, subscribe. We are completely open to respectful discussions, and you don't have to agree with everything we said, but if you can contribute something or want to jump in and add, please feel free to do that. Looking forward to seeing you in episode 5. Thanks.